Hi, Rolando Rivera here. I just want to share an update with you about the research that I'm doing on quantitative analysis. My last post was about the best 12 equities for 12-month growth. So that's what I'm going to give you an update on just quickly for background. All of this research started as a solo game development effort and did research on how to make that game realistic and ran into guidance from Yale University about accessing financial data from Y Finance using Python APIs. From that point, I turned my effort from a game to quantitative analysis for informed investing. And the result of that research is my pick of top 12 equities and for the next 12 months. And that's what I'm going to focus on in this post, what I'm going to share with you today. Where and how to find the top 12. I used Python, as I mentioned earlier, to pull income statement and balance sheet data with the My Finance API calls. And then I use Python libraries, Math and NumPy and Panda, to perform calculations for valuation and stock price probability analysis. And I use the Monte Carlo simulation to get to the stock price probability. From there, I went to test and verify the probability algorithms and historical data to calculate what the price of that equity would be today according to the math. And I'll share with you how close I was to that with this software, and more importantly, at what range of growth estimation and actual growth where the math actually worked out. In other words, where the prediction matched the actual. So that was very interesting and exciting when I got to that point. I'll share that with you and how I got there. Use Python to iterate through a list of more than 5,000 or 4,000 stock symbols to generate a table of data focusing on current price, the probable price, and the valuation using Graham's valuation formula. And then the combination of those three is how I selected my top 12. To filter out by filtering out companies with negative growth rates, or, actually, I just picked out the most optimal growth rates, actual and predicted, as well as companies where the current stock price not exceed an acceptable valuation threshold. Selection criteria for the top 12, as I mentioned, probable growth using Monte Carlo algorithm, the current price and actual 12-month growth rate, the probable current price using historical data, financial assessment score. I factored in sector diversification. I did not want to be too heavily weighted in one single sector, and I had to filter out, for data quality reasons, some of the results that I pulled out of Y Finance or Yahoo Finance with their API. Sometimes the data produce unexpected results, and I had to filter out some. That number was not too large. I still maintain a very large set of data to analyze and make a top 7 list. The knowledge about the company or product. If I like the product, I gravitated towards that particular stock symbol in terms of my preference for investing. Just a little while ago, I posted this table, which was my top 12, and that was about early June, I suppose. And you see here, focusing on the price because I have new data for you, and buy and sell decisions based on new data and what I learned and how that new information applied to the stocks in this table. This post changes this table based on that new information. Based on new information, I filtered my list from top 12 to top 7. I'm still using as a selection criteria the Monte Carlo algorithm and probable growth rate through 2025. And the current price, and this is the primary change from the table I just showed you, the primary price has to be greater than $50. And the reason for that, I'll share with the application, the Monte Carlo algorithm does not like values that are less than 50, because when you iterate more than 10,000 times for that model to come out with a probable price, if the starting value is less than 50, the probability variance is very small. So it starts to get into issues that I'll share with you. Rank warnings, polyfit may be poorly conditioned is the error message that I'm getting where I filtered out prices less than 50 and that error condition was much less frequent. Did not go away completely, but it was much less frequent than iterating with prices that are less than 50. The other significant change in selection criteria is the use of Graham's valuation formula, and that value must be at least 25%. Based on those seven selection criteria, I came up with seven stocks out of the 4,000 that my software analyzed. And based on that, here's a portfolio update and the sell recommendations. Everything under $50, I've decided to sell. I must confess, I kept in my personal portfolio AAOI because I just like that company. So I kept that. There you have it. This is the interface for market leader game software where you pull data for one individual stock symbol. I'll show you one of my favorite as an example, HOV. The data that I use for my analysis is on the square in the far right. That's the price of data analysis. In that block, you will see the current price, last year price, the predicted price using historical data, a lot of good information. You see the 5-year chart, and then the financial analysis recommendation on whether to buy, sell, or hold. The power in the software, in my opinion, is in the ability to download data for all stocks, create a table of important data for evaluating or informing your investment decision, and then selecting the best stocks from that list. And I'll show you an example of how that works right now. So is the input for my software. It is a CSV file of all known New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ stock symbols. There's about almost 5,000 actually on that list. The important columns in that table are, of course, the stock symbol and the sector. So I'll fire off the software. I can filter by sector or I can select all. I'm going to go ahead and select all, and then I'll pull up the console and show you the progress of that software as it's running. It takes about 30 minutes to run through the entire CSV file and the Carlo simulations for each of the stock symbols. In the console, you can see as it's downloading data from Y Finance, and you can see where it skips over stock symbols with the price that are under the threshold I've configured. I think I put $35 instead of 50 for this particular run. But it's incredibly fast considering that it's going through Monte Carlo simulations twice for each stock symbol to get the current price and to get the predicted price. And it's also going through the valuation algorithm or the valuation formula for each stock symbol. So considering the amount of work that's going on, 30 minutes, in my opinion, is incredibly fast. And here is the output for the file, and I'll go ahead and modify so you can see the process for filtering, analyzing, and filtering data. I'll first fix the header so I can show you what data elements I've recorded here in this output file. Let me freeze that top row. But I have, of course, stock symbol, sector, the current price, the predicted price, and the price last year. Those are the important things to consider. And these are the stocks that are below the threshold. I'll just go ahead and remove those right away. There's about 3,000 of those that are below, I think, $35 or $50. I forget which number I picked. Go ahead and get to the bottom of that list. I'll filter them out, and then you can see after I get rid of those that there are still about 1,500 stocks in which to make a selection of 7. Let me get down to the bottom of the list now. Take a look at how many. And first, let me get rid of the stocks that are not there anymore from the list. There's not too many of those. There's maybe 30 or 40. Get rid of those. They're gone, and there's still about 1,500 left or so, I think it was. Then I talked about anomalies in the data. I need to get rid of those. I don't want to make any selections based on data that may be, for whatever reason, corrupt. And there's about 30 or 40 of those. I'll get rid of them. Maybe look at the bottom of the list now, see how many are remaining. There's still a very good number that I need to filter out to get to 7. Get back, and then I'll start doing filtering out stocks that have weak growth rates, actual and predicted. We start with actual. You go ahead and filter out the stocks that do not have very good growth rate, and I want to see at least a 40% actual growth rate. So I'm going to take out everything that does not meet that selection criteria, that 40% number. I'll get rid of those. 40% for actual growth rate. And then I'll get to 40% on predicted growth rate out of the remainder. I'm starting to get a smaller number now to get to 7. And that's good. That's our intent. That's what we want to do. We want to get down from however many number 100 here to just 7. So I'm going to filter out the stocks that have the weakest predicted growth rate. And I want to see at least a 40% predicted growth rate. And get rid of those. Now I'm starting to get to a manageable number where I can start picking my favorite 7. How many do we have left? Yep, that's fewer, about over 100 still though. But now we can start sorting by valuation score. And what I want to see is that the valuation score, the acceptable price is not more than, or the actual price is not more than twice than the calculated acceptable price according to Graham's formula. So I'll get rid of everything that has a weak valuation price. And now I filtered based on all 3 of those things. And I should get now to a point where I can pick my favorites. And we will also once again look at this point, now that we've filtered, again, look at the predicted price against the actual price, and you'll see with this subset of data that you're actually much closer. We have a manageable number. There's about 14 here, so what we're going to do is sort by total score, which takes into consideration all 3. And from that 14, I'll pick the top 7. And that's how I get to my portfolio. Again, I'll reiterate that I am not a certified financial planner. None of what you hear or see in this video is a certified recommendation. So please take that into consideration. Thank you for listening.